of 7 p.m. Start that one more time. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived, I will call to order this regular meeting of the Keene City Council. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and Spectrum Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you would like to receive an electronic city council packet to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the city clerk's office during business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kate M. Bosley,
Here.
Laura E. Tobin,
Here.
Michael J. Remy,
Here.
Randy Ophelia,
Here.
Robert C. Williams,
Here.
Edward J. Haas,
Here.
Philip M. Jones,
Present.
Andrew M. Madison,
Here.
Chrissy Roberts,
Here.
Brian J. Lake,
Here.
Catherine I. Workman,
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne,
Here.
Thomas F. Powers,
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald.
Here.
Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Councilor Roberts, would you please lead us? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to recognize Councilor Greenwald for a motion on our minutes of April 18th.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to adopt the minutes of April 18, 2024,
Second.
as presented.
Yes.
Moved by Councilor Greenwald and seconded by Councilor Bosley. Would all those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Thank you. For announcements, there will be a special Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure meeting on Wednesday, May 8th, this next week, starting at 5:30 to continue their review of the downtown project. I hope people had an opportunity to view it on this past Wednesday. That meeting will be followed by the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee, who has adjusted their start time to 7 p.m. that evening. The operating budget review by the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee will start with their first meeting to review the budget on Thursday, May 9th at 5:30 p.m. There are additional meetings scheduled to review the budget on Tuesday, May 14th at 5:30, and on Tuesday, May 21st at 5:30, and a light meal will be provided in advance of these times for councilors. Looking forward to other meetings on the downtown project. The Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee will hold its regular meeting on May 22nd. This will be followed by a full council workshop on the downtown project on June 11th at 6 p.m. in council chambers, after which a regular Municipal Services, Finance, and Infrastructure meeting will be held on June 26th. The final council action on the downtown project is anticipated for the July 18th regular meeting. On tonight's agenda, you're going to notice that there are several landmark organizations in Keene who will be recognizing milestones in their history in this year. And on Sunday of this week, while you're perhaps enjoying Cinco de Mayo, please keep in mind that the city of Keene on this Sunday will have been incorporated for 150 years. A high note to recognize on behalf of the city. Now, it's my pleasure to do a community recognition of Ann Henderson. Ann, if you would come forward, please. Thank you. Yeah. For 33 of Ann Henderson's 37 years in Keene, she has established an interior design business Initially, Ann operated out of her home on Grant Street while she served clients throughout New England. In 2009, Ann opened up a showroom at 16 West Street. Currently, Ann Henderson Interiors employs several other full-time staff, Keene State College students, and a couple of part-timers. Ann graduated with a degree in art history and studio arts with special interest studies in architecture and the decorative arts from Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia. After working briefly for National Geographic magazine, Ann continued her interior design studies at Mount Vernon College in Washington, D.C. Ann has received awards from New Hampshire Home Magazine, New England Home Magazine. She has been published multiple times in these magazines, as well as in Down East Magazine, Yankee Magazine, House Beautiful, and in the Keene Sentinel. Recently, Ann Henderson was recognized in the May-June New Hampshire Home Magazine with a 2024 Home Design Award for her design at Monadnock Shadows in Dublin, New Hampshire. The article titled 2024 Interior Design Living Space Winner, Let There Be Light, states as follows, and there are copies of the interior design, because you can't talk about an interior design award without saying what it is. So if folks will pass that down to your colleagues to your left or right, right as it may be. And the article states, the homeowners wanted to open up and brighten communal spaces to promote gathering in them. Without changing the structure's footprint, the southern facade was pierced with two-story bump outs that transformed the main living space. The glass extension becomes the project's showstopper, reawakening the space's low ceilings. Dark pine paneling, beams, and floors were replaced by a custom white interior with light oak, plank flooring, and glossy painted millwork. The enormous brick fireplace faced with oak and painted millwork creates a harmonious focal point in the room. Forsaking beautiful window treatments for exterior film was a very conscious decision so that outdoors and indoors are one. In the same family for 3 generations, the home invites activity, tranquility, observing, and living in nature, and above all, connecting with loved ones. The judges said the design chose fabric and pattern colors that make the room feel refreshing and crisp, plus the natural light in the white room simply enhances its brightness. Well played, Ann. So, Ann has served on many boards promoting the arts and downtown through the Keene Downtown Group, the Chamber, Friends of the Colonial, Grand Monadnock Arts Council, MoCo, Monadnock Food Co-op, Friends of the Thorn, Cheshire County Recovery Court, St. James Church, Keene Elm City Rotary. Ann states, we have a treasure here, one that I say a prayer of gratitude for each day, and I mean even the short, frigid winter ones. And on behalf of the city, I congratulate you for your career accomplishments, your community service, and your statewide recognition, for which I am pleased to present to you a Key to the City pin as a token of appreciation for your accomplishments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I'm really humbled by this. It was indeed very special to get the award from New Hampshire Magazine, but to be honored by your community, and a community that I respect and love so much, is really moving for me, and personally very meaningful. So I thank you all for your service to our community. I ask you to continue to call on me if you need me in any way to contribute my services to your work. And this is a celebration of what we have here in supporting local business and dreams, because behind every door on Main Street, it represents a different passion, a different level of creativity, and a different dream. And without Keene, I'm not sure that I would have ever gotten this award. So thank you, community, and thank you, Jay.
Among all the things that we get to celebrate in the month of May, it is Bicycle Week, a month. And Sam, if you'll join me up here. We have a proclamation to present to the chair of our Bicycle Pedestrian Path Advisory Committee. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Whereas the city of Keene is a bicycle-friendly community that recognizes bicycling as an integral part of a multimodal transportation system and has appointed a Bicycle Pedestrian Path Advisory Committee, and whereas bicycling can replace driving for short trips, thereby helping the region conserve energy, reduce traffic congestion, and improve air quality, and whereas bicycling to work is good for your health, as an overall program on workplace wellness as recommended in a report by the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disabilities. And whereas the Bicycle Mayor of Keene, the City of Keene Bicycle Pedestrian Path Advisory Committee, Monadnock Alliance for Sustainable Transportation, Monadnock Food Co-op, Southwest Regional Planning Commission, Healthy Monadnock Alliance, Monadnock Cycling Club, Pathways for Keene, Keene Y, the Kiwanis Club, Keene State College, and local crowd Monadnock, and other public and private groups and individuals who have worked together to promote commuting by bicycle throughout the month of May. And whereas, as a result of the city's and these groups' efforts, Keene once again is recognized nationally as a silver bicycle-friendly community. And whereas the Bike Walk Alliance of New Hampshire is bringing the Tour de New Hampshire to Keene's rail trails on May 26th. The Kiwanis Club is holding their annual Cool Wheels event for kids on May 4th, and the Keene YMCA is conducting a Seniors on Bikes training session on May 25th. Now, therefore, I, Jay Kahn, Mayor of Keene, do hereby proclaim May 2024, as Bike Month in Keene and encourage all citizens to celebrate our city as a walkable and bikeable community by commuting to work, to school, to the store, to parks, and around their neighborhoods by bicycling and by walking. Signed by your mayor. Congratulations and thank you. Have a great month.
I'm not
You
sure.
don't need to.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you. If folks are following our agenda in the packet, we are turning to Section B, where we will be considering elections, nominations, appointments, and confirmations. We will begin with a consideration of 4 candidates for our Ward 1 City Council vacancy. Let me start by saying how fortunate I believe the city is to have the opportunity to select our next Ward 1 councilor from 4 Keene residents with varied backgrounds and qualifications. The field of candidates includes Bradford Hutchinson, Jacob Favalise, Janice Manwaring, and Valerie Bradley Walsh. Before I call each candidate to address the council relative to their candidacy, I want to review the process. Each candidate will be given 5 minutes to address their candidacy. The clerk will serve as the timekeeper and give you certain signs if you are nearing the 5-minute mark. The council will not be permitted to ask questions of the candidates during their remarks or after. Because there are 5 candidates, we will have a primary election by the councilors to narrow the field of candidates down to 2. This will be a roll call vote with each councilor voting for 1 candidate. The 2 candidates receiving the highest number of votes by this roll call vote will be declared finalists. The final vote will also be by roll call. As the clerk calls each counselor's name, please indicate your choice of candidate. If a counselor wishes not to vote for either of the two finalist candidates, they shall vote no. If no candidate receives the required 8 votes, a second round of voting will occur. If no candidate receives 8 votes in the second round of voting, an additional filing period will be set for candidates to file a notice of their intent to seek election to the vacant Ward 1 seat. And I will note that if there is a tie, the language in our city charter, Section 8, does not allow, in this instance, for the mayor to break the tie. The candidate receiving 8 votes of the elected city council will be declared the prevailing candidate and shall take the oath of office and be immediately seated as a city councilor. Now, I'd like to recognize the first candidate to come forward, and that would be Mr. Hutchinson. And I'm not seeing Mr. Hutchinson. Anybody? Okay, we'll take a pass on the first candidate. I'll recognize our second candidate, Mr. Favalise. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, is green on? Okay. Like, some of them are red or on. No matter. All right. Thank you, Mayor Khan, and honorable members of the City Council for the opportunity to address you tonight about my candidacy for the vacant Ward 1 seat. Believe it or not, I don't bring an extensive background in municipal policymaking or governance. But I do bring a breadth and depth of leadership and civic experience and a willingness to learn, ask tough questions, and have tough conversations, and above all else, work collaboratively with everybody to move our community forward. That is the approach that I have taken at Keene State College, where I study political science. Last month, I was reelected to a 4th term on the college's student assembly, where I am a fierce advocate for my constituents, conducting extensive oversight of campus leadership, as some of the folks behind me in the audience today can attest to, and most recently spearheading efforts to revise our Constitution and bylaws to increase the transparency, responsiveness, and efficacy of the organization. I'm also privileged to be entering my 3rd term on the Keene State College Senate, the institution's legislative body for matters concerning academic quality of life. There, I have quickly earned a reputation among my faculty, staff, and student colleagues as a highly engaged, prepared, and effective senator with a strong grasp of the academic affairs and broader campus landscapes, a robust knowledge of parliamentary procedure and process, and a deep commitment to the mission, vision, and values of the institution. Last April, after serving a single term, I became the first student ever nominated to the Senate Executive Committee, and just last week became the first student ever elected. Also this year, a motion I authored establishing a president's list to recognize outstanding academic performance amongst our students passed the body on a unanimous voice vote. I look forward to applying this background and experience to tackling the issues that matter to our community, from housing to infrastructure to the cost of living. As one example, I look forward to continuing to explore ways to better align our zoning and land use codes with the pressing demand for more affordable housing and balance the need to develop sustainably and consistently with our city's character with the need to attract and retain the workforce of today and tomorrow. People want to live in Keene, and developers want to build the housing for them to live in. I am encouraged by the City Council's recent actions loosening restrictions on accessory dwelling units, and I'm very excited about the possibilities related to the cottage court overlay proposal currently working its way through the approval process. We have work ahead of us when it comes to providing the diverse housing stock needed to meet the demands of current and future residents, but by continuing to engage all stakeholders and thinking with equal parts common sense and creativity, I'm confident that we will get there together as a community. I also want to emphasize my philosophy that the City of Keene has no money. The city's money is in fact the taxpayers' money, and it is our responsibility, and will be my responsibility if elected, to continue to hold the line on property tax rates and ensure that we're not pricing folks out of the city. Overall, I am eager to bring a fresh perspective to council and leverage that specific perspective and skills to represent my entire ward and to make decisions that benefit our entire community. It is my goal to be the most effective and accessible counselor that I can be, and to that end, I look forward to learning from you all the best ways to engage with residents, community leaders, small business owners, and other key stakeholders. want to end by once again thanking you for the opportunity to address you tonight and share that regardless of the results of tonight's vote, I know that I'm better for having gone through this small part of our democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd next like to ask Ms. Manwaring to come forward and address the council.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nice to see everybody again. It feels funny to be sitting in this seat, but here I am. So I thought what I would do is just say what I've been doing since I left you. I am on the Bicycle Pedestrian Path Advisory Committee, so that committee has been very involved from the beginning with the downtown process. And I think that we focus on safety, the safety of pedestrians as well as cyclists, and that is our primary concern. And we work hard to try and offer advice to you all. That is our role. The second thing that I feel very strongly about, and probably won't surprise you, and that is housing. I was glad that the accessory dwelling units passed. That's wonderful. And some of the things that happened in the rural district as well. Congratulations to PLD for shepherding that through. I also feel like there are houses that are just going to, I call it going to earth in this town. I have one that's right next door to me. It has been empty for 3 years after I've lived in my house now 27 years, and the past 3 years is the only time it's been empty. And before that was always kids and families. And this house has, in the last big windstorm, a tree came down, smashed the chimney. I don't know if it went through to the roof. My neighbor and I have called the water department twice to get the water turned off because there was flooding in the cellar that we could see. And it just seems like that's a pretty dramatic house going to earth. But I think there are others, and I would love to work on that to see what we can do to help people bring their houses up to code. And lastly, I am totally excited about the master plan. And I look forward to the public meetings that are coming up. That was, I was involved in 2000, I think it was 2009, in the master plan development, and as you know, Joe Blow here. And it was so interesting. It was, the staff was wonderful. We got involved with all the questions about where we wanted the city of Keene to go forward. And it really was as a result of that I ran for city council. So I'm hoping that, again, with that process, maybe we'll have more folks wanting to join us either on city council or the many committees that we have. I'm really excited by that and where we're going in the future. And I think that's all I want to say. Thank you for listening. It's good to see you all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary, very much. And finally, Ms. Bradley Walsh, would you please come forward? Thank you.
Hello. My name is Valerie Bradley Walsh, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you all. And I am a member of the community. I have children that went through the school system, and my daughter is about to graduate from Keene High School. I'm very involved with the community currently. I like to volunteer as much as possible with different organizations, and really wanting to take the opportunity to help highlight the benefits that I could help to bring to the council. I have experience as a Chamber of Commerce ambassador, and really helping to highlight our area, to help bring in talent, to help retain talent, and really highlight how Keene is a wonderful place to have a family and really thrive in the community, either through business or being a part of the community as well. So this opportunity came up, and I know I'm a little late to applying, but I really appreciate this as sort of stepping stones to further committees or other ways I can potentially get involved. I know personally with my current work how important housing is. Recently, there was a dental office in town that closed because they could not find talent to stay within that business. And so that not only impacted the business in our community, but it also impacted a lot of patients as well, and having to find other care and have their current treatment stopped in the middle of what they were doing. So really finding affordable housing or having that type of resources available for people to come into town and to really become a part of the community, I feel is very important. So I do look forward to helping provide any kind of insight there from my experiences. That's all I have. So thank you again. I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to working with you all in some way. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And once again, thank you all the candidates for going through this process and for this evening's presentations. So, would the clerk please lead us through the process of calling the roll, and would all counselors indicate a candidate of choice?
Counselor Bosley.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Tobin.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Remy.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Filio.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Williams.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Haas.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Jones.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Madison.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Roberts.
Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Lake.
Janice Manwaring.
Counselor Workman.
Jacob Favalos.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Powers.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Greenwald.
Jan Manwaring.
Well, we have two candidates with the most votes, so we will continue forward with a consideration of Ms. Manwaring and Ms. Bradley Walsh, and thank Mr. Favalis for his willingness to be an applicant and give consideration. Appreciate very much having had a person with your background be an applicant and show interest in the city council. Thank you. The field having been narrowed to two candidates, would the clerk please call the roll a second time?
Counselor Bosley.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Tobin.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Remy.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Filio.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Williams.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Haas.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Jones.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Madison.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Roberts.
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Lake.
Janice Manwaring.
Counselor Workman.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Powers.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Greenwald.
Jan Manwaring. Therefore,
By my count,
7-7.
we have 7 votes for both candidates. Fortunately, the city's rules of order, the council's rules of order, anticipated that it might take a second ballot.
Counselor Bosley?
Oh, we can?
Yep.
Yes.
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor
Valerie
Tobin?
Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Remy?
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Filio?
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Williams?
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Haas?
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Jones?
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Madison?
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Roberts?
Valerie Bradley Walsh.
Counselor Lake?
Janice Manwaring.
Counselor Workman?
Janice Manwaring.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Powers?
Jan Manwaring.
Counselor Greenwald?
Jan Manwaring.
Well, we're in an interesting position here, folks. We have exhausted the rules with the number of votes. We have clearly two candidates that the council is divided on, and at this point, we would need to consider suspending our rules. I don't know that the outcome to that changes, but we could, by your vote of a 2/3 majority, suspend our rules, vote another, if you so unanimously chose. We could then have a third final vote on the two finalists. And perhaps, given that we are at a stalemate with two qualified candidates, I don't know where the council would go, but Councilor Greenwald.
Thank you, Your Honor. Two things. One, I'm going to make a motion, but I would suggest maybe a 5-minute recess just to catch our breath and think before we vote again. But at any rate, the main motion is to ask to suspend the rules for an additional round of voting.
Second.
So a motion to suspend the rules for a motion has been moved and seconded. Councilor Roberts, did you have a point you wish to make?
Am I allowed to talk about the motion or do we just have
The motion.
I believe, yes.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not going to support suspending the rules. We've made two votes on it, and we followed our rules, and we said if they came to a tie, we'd reopen it. But right now, kind of going to another one, to me, it's kind of like forcing someone, just let's change our vote and get over with it. I don't think that's the way we should be electing our 15th council person. I think we should be electing our 15th council person by following the council's rules, not by suspending the rules.
Any further comments?
A
Councilor
question, if
Greenwald.
I could, to the city attorney perhaps. So if we stay deadlocked and this comes back next council meeting, is that?
a period of time.
Yeah, whatever.
Another 14 days.
Is that new filing, new counselors, new candidates can come forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And for clarification's sake, and current candidates would
Absolutely.
have that
Everybody has.
potential to continue to file and state their candidacy.
Yes.
So, there you go. This will take a roll call vote, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Bosley?
No.
Counselor Tobin?
No.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
No.
Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
No.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
No.
Counselor Lake.
No.
Counselor Workman.
No.
Counselor Chadbourne.
No.
Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
I haven't been counting, but I'll say yes.
Well, there is a, here's the, where we end for the evening. Failing to elect a candidate, I will set an additional 14-day filing period to start on Friday, May 10th, and conclude at 4 p.m. on Friday, May 24th. In this case, the election will be held on the council's regular meeting of June 6th.
Wow.
And that concludes our consideration for this evening. I will thank all the candidates for your candidacy. Please give strong thought to filing again. I don't know how this would end up a second time, but it's a shame to see 3 qualified candidates come forward and have the process end without having elected and filled our 15th seat. So, thank you very much for your candidacy. I hope to see you back again. Okay. We move forward on our agenda. Ready? We now move to confirmations. And unless there is a suggestion that we recess for a moment, we're moving on. All right. Yes, Counselor Haas.
Thank you. Just to clarify for myself and for the candidates, do they need to refile? Okay, so it's a blank slate right now.
Correct.
Okay.
All candidates that wish to be considered at our June 6th meeting have a 14-day filing period, begin May 10th. All right.
Did you have a question?
Oh, okay. Counselor Bosley.
Was there any additional business to do with COD?
No, we're going to hold on that. Okay. Moving on. Sorry, I've got to catch up in my packet here. I'd like to ask the clerk to read a motion on confirmations of 2 appointees.
And the mayor at our last council meeting nominated Counselor Brian Lake to replace former Counselor Omerod on the Energy and Climate Committee. That would go until December 31, 2025. The mayor also nominated a Stefan Mehu as an alternate to the planning board, and that term would expire December 31, 2026.
Okay, that motion has been made. No, wait, I'd like to recognize Counselor Greenwald for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to confirm the nominations.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Greenwald and seconded by Counselor Bosley. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Bosley.
Yes.
Counselor Tobin.
Yes.
Counselor Remy.
Yes.
Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Lake.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
Yes.
We'll move on to nominations for additional committees, which will be taken up at our next regularly scheduled meeting.
To the Ashwillet River Park Advisory Board, the mayor's nominated a Kelly Cook to serve as an alternate. That term would expire December 31, 2026. The mayor's also nominated an Emma Charles to serve on Human Rights Committee, also as an alternate. also with a December 31, 2026 expiration date.
And we have a communication from Pam Russell Slack indicating that she is needing to resign from the Master Plan Committee due to scheduling conflicts. Counselor Greenwald for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the resignation and express appreciation for time served.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the resignation. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. Motion carries with regret. We will now take up other communications. We have a communication from Charles Smith requesting an opportunity to speak before the City Council about tourism and homelessness, as well as police body cameras.
Yes, Mr. Smith has written this communication relative to the several issues, and he's actually looking for an opportunity to speak before the council.
So relative to the issues of tourism and homelessness that are raised in Mr. Smith's letter, I'm going to refer those issues to Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee. I will not be referring the portion of the communication regarding police body cameras because Mr. Smith has submitted a right-to-know request for access to certain camera footage, which has been denied because the City Council has no authority to consider this issue as defined by New Hampshire right-to-know statutes. Communication from Toby Towsley.
Mr. Towsley is looking for the city to initiate an investigation into the details surrounding the sudden resignation of the fire chief.
And this communication is being accepted as informational. And one more communication from the Keene Sentinel.
Yes, the Keene Sentinel is looking for use of city property and permission to do a fireworks discharge in celebration of their 225th anniversary celebration. This is scheduled for September 7th.
We'll refer this communication to the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee. And one more from the Colonial Theater.
And the Colonial Theater is also having an anniversary. It's their 100th anniversary. They're looking for use of city property, and their celebration would be August 18th.
And this too will be referred to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee. We'll move on to item D in our agenda. We have a motion.
We do
from
have a
our
Municipal
committee.
Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report. It's about a license for use of the city right-of-way, specifically Hurricane Road. On a vote of 4-0, the Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a revocable license to install, maintain, and operate an irrigation water supply system across Hurricane Road in the vicinity of 149 Hurricane Road.
I'd like to recognize the chair of the committee, Councilor Greenwald, for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Greenwald and seconded by Councilor Filio to carry out the intent of the committee by a show of hands. Oh, you wish to speak to this? Certainly.
Very simple issue. There's an existing pipe under the road connecting two sides where there was a water line at one point. So it's somewhat of a formality. The city does not own the fee, meaning the ownership of the actual road. Doesn't really affect us at all. It's a private water source, and this is just a formality to make sure that it's good. City attorney will be speaking with both sides of the road ownership just to make sure everyone's in agreement. Very simple, and hopefully you will agree that it is an okay thing to do.
Your Honor, on that point, they have satisfied the concerns and the conditions that we had at this point, so it's free to go from my perspective.
Further comments? Councilor Williams.
Just to say that before even your meeting, I heard about this through some roundabout channel. And what I heard was some great praise for our city engineer for coming out in the rain and making it happen. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you. Further comments? Seeing none, now we'll go to a vote by show of hands. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. City manager for a report.
So I'm going to start with the budget, which you should all have on your desk this evening. It's the fiscal '25 proposed budget, and later tonight, this budget will be available on our website for those watching in the audience or at home. So I always want to start first by recognizing the work of our departments for putting forth a budget with minimal operational increases. It does make my job a lot easier. Not easy, but easier. I also want to acknowledge the work of the finance department. And in addition to the regular budget process, they had the difficult task of setting up a new budget format, utilizing a report writing system that's tied to our financial software. So you'll see that this is set up a little bit different. I also want to recognize Rebecca Landry for her great work on our cover and everyone who was part of this year's budget process. You will notice that we have incorporated the city's branding colors and the new logo on the new format. Not only does this new format look great, it will be easier and more efficient for department heads and finance staff to use moving forward. The information will be fed directly from our financial system, the Tyler Tech Munis software package, instead of relying on numerous spreadsheets, which we had relied on in the past. So this will make a huge difference for us moving forward. It was a big task for them to set it up in this first year, but moving forward, it will make the process easier. And even though she's not here tonight, I need to recognize specifically Karen Gray, our senior accountant, who is retiring at the end of the month. I would have waited for the budget hearing, but she will not be here for that. She made it her mission to work with our finance director, Mary Howe, to get this budget program up and operational in time for this year's budget. She has been a dedicated, talented employee, so it's no surprise she's been working to leave us in the best position possible for next year. Karen has been such an asset to the city. She's beloved by all. She's the go-to person for all things finance, and she's the master of all things grants. She works late at night and on the weekends and never complains to meet deadlines which seem quite impossible. Her work ethic is stellar. She's extremely talented, and she carries the load of at least 2 employees, and it's going to be very difficult to fill her shoes after her retirement. So huge thanks to her. Even though she's not here this evening, it's really important to acknowledge all of her work here at the city. So back to the budget. The city's overall tax rate dropped 2 out of the last 3 years. Last year, the city's portion of the rate increased slightly, 2.7%, or 24 cents. This year, the city's portion of the rate is expected to increase 7.57%, or 95 cents. The proposed budget is $423,000 below the city's fiscal policy limit. As I've done in the last several years, I've made adjustments to the budget until it was well below your fiscal policy. The chart on page 9 in your books illustrates the primary budget driver is the increased cost of wages. Wage adjustments are tied to contracted bargaining union agreements and non-union wage adjustments, which include a 3% COLA, or cost of living adjustment. So $1,463,000 and change of the $2,251,000 and change is related to wages. The remaining difference is $787,000, and it is primarily the increased cost of human services, specifically the $400,000 increase in rental assistance. We've talked about this issue a number of times, leaving only small operational adjustments throughout the budget. The fiscal policy limits property tax revenue increases to a rolling 3-year average of the Boston, Cambridge, Newton CPI, net of expenditures required by law and debt service payments and capital leases. This year, that average is 4.9%, and our COLA is well below that at 3%. The fiscal policy breaks down this calculation on page 6 of your budget book. The first year of the city's capital improvement plan is also updated in your fiscal '25 budget. In order for the budget proposal to comply with fiscal policy, it was necessary to adjust the funding scenario for one project, the Keene Police Department crime scene van. The capital appropriations start on page 47 of the budget book. In 2021, the city went through a citywide property revaluation to bring its real estate assessments to market value. This was done at a time when values were significantly increasing compared to previous years. Shortly after, there was some speculation that the market was peaking and may even begin to decrease. However, in 2024, real estate prices have only continued to increase, particularly with residential properties. The assessment equalization ratio for the city has dropped this past year from 80.9% to 72.8%. This means that the median sale price in the city is 27.2% more than your assessed value. And it's continuing to drop, the ratio. The overall value of utility property in the city by state law must be equalized by that ratio. While utility values are reviewed every year to account for changes and the value may increase from the previous year, the equalized ratio of 72.8% must still be applied. When this is done, the result could be an overall loss in taxable value for utility property, shifting some tax burden over to the property owners and affecting the overall tax rate for the year. This budget includes the second year of an estimated $6 million reduction in utility values as a result of applying that ratio. This will be discussed in more detail during the opening night of the budget review at FOP, which is May 9th at 5:30. That is the evening that the assessment budget will be reviewed, and at that time, our city assessor will go into more detail about what's happening with our overall values. Overall, the tax rate estimates are based on a conservative projection, which includes a net increase in value of $4 million. This is net of the above-mentioned decline in the city's valuation of $6 million. This budget conservatively estimates revenues associated with state municipal aid as we know them right now. Significant revenue increases included are increases in interest earnings of $325,000, which helps to offset the increased bonding expenses, and an increase in motor vehicles of $165,000 and an increase in ambulance billing of $200,000. To bring the budget into compliance with the city's fiscal policy, adjustments have been made to account for vacancies in the police department, community development department, and fire department. 2 police officer positions are not included in the budget wage line, so that was an adjustment of $208,354. The addition of funds to support the fire marshal's position is included in both the Community Development Department, 20%, and Fire Department, 80%. This is mostly offset by reducing budgeted funds for one of the 2 Fire Department deputy positions funded at 50%, and the building health official is also funded at 50%. This is the first time I've applied some sort of a vacancy rate to the budget overall. Overall, it is a difficult balancing act with lots of moving parts to construct a budget that meets your fiscal policy limitations while continuing to provide services at the levels expected. We have done that with this budget proposal. That's my intro for the budget, the wonderful news. Now, I wanted to provide some additional comments this evening under manager's comments, if I may. More uplifting news. The city has received the 45th Tree Award. We remain the second longest tree city designation in New Hampshire. We're holding on to that. We will be celebrating Arbor Day on May 10th by planting a tree in 2 locations, one on Appian Way and one on Main Street near the Alumni Center. Green Up Keene was another great success. 400 volunteers removed more than 4,810 pounds of trash from our streets, parks, and trails. 65 volunteer groups participated this year, which is up from 55 groups. So it was a wonderful and very successful event. And you can see the difference. I have this tonight in the audience with us, Jason Martin, and I wanted to formally announce that he has been made the acting fire chief. If you don't know Jason, there he is. I am really grateful that Jason has agreed to step up to this role. It's not an easy one, but so far in the first few weeks, he's doing a great job, and I'm very, very grateful for him. I also have in the audience our fire marshal. If you haven't met him yet, Rick Wood. He has been with us. He's been with us for just over 3 weeks, and he comes to us with a great deal of experience. In fact, over the last 32 years, he has inspected more than 1,500 commercial construction projects of all shapes and sizes. He worked for the city of Nashua as their fire marshal, and he provided consulting services for a number of years, and we're very, very lucky to have him. He's provided to us an update, so if you don't mind, I just want to provide a little update on the work that he's doing. Thank you, Rick, so much for joining us this evening. So he has met one-on-one with all the assigned staff, all of his assigned staff in community development, and started meeting with the remaining community development staff to assure a comprehensive perspective of how the functions of building and fire intertwine. They started mapping the various processes we are currently using to analyze them for improvements with the goal of efficiency and improved customer experience. This will take some time. They are also planning to solicit broad stakeholder input internally and externally prior to bringing forward any changes. They've implemented a weekly case review meeting for management of complex compliance and enforcement cases using the following model. They review the case history, status, and remaining concerns, discuss the strategy options, define the strategy, assign the appropriate staff person, either from the Community Development Department or from the Fire Department, define the action steps and the timeline, execute a strategy, and then evaluate the effectiveness of that strategy and adjust as necessary before closing it out. They are working on adjustments to the iWork software system. That's the software system that initially we were using only in community development, but we did move the fire department permitting to that system as well. Rick is meeting weekly with Med Kopczynski to assure their work is aligned. As you know, Med has been doing some work with us on the 4th floor, and that is going well to date. Rick also was introduced to the Chamber of Commerce president, and he's been added to their email list, and of course Luca's already trying to get him to come to some of their breakfasts, which I think will be a great opportunity to get him out in the community. And recently they inspected the Elks and working to resolve some outstanding issues. Rick has been having daily meetings with our acting fire chief, now acting fire chief Martin, on moving forward communication and clarity of roles. This was really important with the departure of Chief Farquhar. It was important that both Jason and Rick were on the same page, and they are, and so that's been working really well. He also created a new email address, so if you're looking to contact Rick about a code enforcement or fire inspection issue, it's fire-marshal@keenanh.gov, so that will be their general email. And he's working to assure fire inspections do not lag. And this is because, as you know, we have some vacancies. Our fire inspectors' positions at the fire department are currently vacant, and so we've temporarily been bringing in firefighters to assist with assembly permit inspections and trying to keep everyone moving forward. Overall, they are working to achieve the mission set by the City Council to assure the most efficient customer experience and unified city approach to inspections in a manner that encourages customers and citizens to engage with our departments. This is what you wanted, bringing the two departments together and to create a system where they are working together to determine what's the best strategy to address an issue, who is addressing the issue, and then following through. And so I'm really excited to see the work that they are doing I think it's going to be a big improvement for our city. Then I have just one more thing for you, and then I will stop. And it's related to our agreement with SES. So last year, the adoption of SB 1110 clarified a community's ability to recoup the cost of services provided to residents from other communities as it relates to welfare services. You remember we were very active with Senator Fenton regarding this bill. And this was a step in the right direction. Now, if we provide assistance to someone from another community, we will bill that community for those services. The city also has a memorandum of understanding with Southwestern Community Service to provide emergency shelter placement and housing stability. As we've discussed in the past, a fair number of individuals receiving shelter services here are residents of other communities. The availability of those shelter beds for Keene residents directly impacts our ability to temporarily house someone, which then impacts our budget. In addition, there are often ancillary impacts to services such as fire and police. Therefore, we have amended our MOU with SCS to expand our partnership and create an arrangement that allows for the cost of shelter services, provided by SCS to residents of communities to also be billed back to that community in accordance with RSA 165-2-A. This arrangement will be in place for the last couple months of this fiscal year. We will then regroup with SCS to see if there are further adjustments needed to the language of the MOU. So this is brand new to us. This is the first time we're doing this. We'll see how this works. But in essence, SCS's ability to recoup the expenses that they are incurring from residents around the area will pass through the city and hopefully be recouped and returned back to SCS, which will ultimately impact our ability to avail ourselves of their services. So I will keep you updated on how successful we are with this. And that, Mayor, is enough for me.
Thanks for your thorough report and insights into many things. Thank you. Continuing on with our agenda, we're going to move on to Section I, ordinances for the first reading.
And we have ordinance O-2024-05, an ordinance relating to boards and commissions. This is coming from the mayor.
And we'll refer this ordinance to Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. Next.
Is item I-2. It is a ordinance for first reading. It is coming from my office, and it deals, in its ordinance O-2024-06, an ordinance relating to sidewalk cafe enforcement measures.
And we'll refer this ordinance to Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee. Now we'll move on to Section J, which is ordinances for our second reading, which means these are coming forward from committees for a vote.
And we have a Municipal Services and Infrastructure Committee report relative to ordinance O-2024-04. The committee is recommending adoption. The ordinance is O-2024-04, an ordinance relating to water and sewer abatements.
Councilor Greenwald for the committee.
Move the adoption of ordinance O-2024-04.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Greenwald and seconded by Councilor Filio. Councilor Greenwald.
Thank
to
you.
the motion.
As you all know, water meters are a fact of life. Every water service that the city provides goes through a water meter. It's a mechanical device. Water goes in, there's a formula, a bill is created. Part of our city code currently allows an appeal for this water bill. The general procedure is if you don't like your water bill, you call up Public Works and you complain. They'll come out, they'll explain to you the extent of a running toilet or watering your lawn. Maybe you'll question the water meter. They'll test it. I've been on city council a long time. Every time the meter is tested, it is either running slow, meaning in the benefit of the user, or it's perfect. So since the code allows an appeal to council, that really creates an awkward situation and really doesn't do any good, because ultimately, it's a mechanical device and it's going to be upheld. So what this ordinance is doing is saying, you can appeal, you go to Public Works. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but that is what it is. Go fix your toilet, don't water your lawn, but applying to the council because there's some unusual situation. And again, I've been around long enough that it's typically a pretty heart-wrenching situation, some very well-meaning individual saying, oh, but it can't be, but it is. So this will eliminate this going through the council process, and it will end at the Public Works Director.
Any comments from other counselors? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented,
Roll.
this is a roll call. Sorry.
Counsel Bosley.
Thank you.
Yes.
Counsel Tobin.
Yes.
Counsel Remy.
Yes.
Counsel Filio.
Yes.
Counsel Williams.
Yes.
Counsel Haas.
Yes.
Counsel Jones.
Yeah, I guess.
Counsel Madison.
Yes.
Counsel Roberts.
Yes.
Counsel Lake.
Yes.
Counsel Workman.
Yes.
Counsel Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counsel Powers.
Yes.
Counsel Greenwald.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. And moving on to Section K, resolutions.
This is a memorandum from the city manager which introduces our operating budget process for the year, and it starts off with Resolution R 2024-20, and a resolution relating to the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget.
And we'll refer this resolution to Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. And I will set a public hearing on this resolution for Thursday, June 6th at 7 p.m. during our regular council meeting. Having reached the conclusion of our agenda, I'd like to ask Councilor Greenwald for a motion. Before the motion, I'll let the audience know that we will be moving into non-public session, and we'll take a 5-minute recess after that. Councilor
Okay.
Greenwald.
I move to go into non-public session for consultation with legal counsel as allowed under RSA 91-A3 2I. L?
Second.
Moved by Councilor Greenwald and seconded by Councilor Filio. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Bosley.
Yes.
Counsel Tobin.
Yes.
Counsel Remy.
Yes.
Counsel Filio.
Yes.
Counsel Williams.
Yes.
Counsel Haas.
Yes.
Counsel Jones.
Yes.
Counsel Madison.
Yes.
Counsel Roberts.
Yes.
Counsel Lake.
Yes.
Counsel Workman.
Yes.
Counsel Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counsel Powers.
Yes.
Counsel Greenwald.
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll take a 5-minute recess.